I got a voice message through the platform, which any of you can do if you want, from somebody, and I really appreciate it. That he reached out, and I just wanted to respond to it a little bit on here for everybody's benefit because I think a lot of people are going to have the same stuff in their life. Trading for sure is going to push your buttons in every possible way. The longer you stay in trading, the deeper your buttons will get pushed. You might have years or even a decade where things are going smoothly, and then sometimes they won't go smoothly, and different personal things will creep up. I think I covered a lot of that in the last episode, but it's um it's just not going to end. It's going to keep going and going. It doesn't have to be a bad thing either. Ultimately, a really good thing because it's getting you to learn and know things about yourself that you, excuse the car here, that you wouldn't normally know. And another line of work is probably not going to accelerate me near as fast as this one would. But every line of work has its challenges. But he was saying that the control aspect and the fear of wanting to get your fingers wrapped around and squeezed tight about making sure things are going to work and the money comes in the way it should, and what strategy should you use, and what's your ultimate time frame, and all these different things. And I got into some of that last time too, but that in some ways, to go a little bit more into some of my personal stuff, I think when I was just in my 20s trading futures during the day, it was really simple, and there was this huge growth mindset. Get your size bigger, get better at what you're doing, get more focused, video record your screen, plot your trades by hand, get to know everybody who's really successful and learn what you can from them to add to your own style, and just keep going. And eventually, at some point, um, that skill set became ripened to the point that it was going to be for me. And then it was just like a shift inside of me to, okay, how can I expand this and become bigger and better and find other things that are different? So then I went into the longer time frame. But what also happened for me was, since I made money trading, I became having a wealth management issue where I had to figure out how to move some of my money around. I didn't need to trade with all my money, so what am I supposed to do with my money? Just sit in cash, or do I have to invest it in stocks? Because I'm trading in the short term doesn't mean I'm a professional wealth manager. It doesn't mean I'm someone who knows how to hold stocks for 6 months to 6 years. Doesn't mean I'm totally inept either. It just means that that's not what I did to make my money. So then I spent years trying to learn about that, which is kind of where I am now, and picking up different things to do. And it kind of made me go crazy, to be honest with you. I lost my sanity a little bit, having to figure out all these things, because you can't be the master of all the time frames, and you have to trust other people, and then you might make mistakes allocating money when the market goes down, and then you're not used to that. You're losing money that you made working one way in a different way, but it's also a bigger part of your overall plan. And there's figuring out other things to keep you fulfilled and happy as you move out of that constant short-term pursuit, which is filling up your day, to something that's bigger picture, potentially more lucrative and rewarding, but also sometimes there's inactivity, and then all these buttons get pressed about wanting to control things and wanting to make them happen a certain way, and then maybe you switch into a different style right when the market is totally not uh, good for that style. Maybe it's been great for 3 years, and when you step in, it's shit, and you're forcing stuff and trying to make things happen. And it doesn't mean you're not going to be good at it. It just means that you're doing it at the wrong time. And there's many years where I was day trading where it was just horrible trading, slow, grinding, low volatility trading, very little moves to catch. And I just survived because I had gotten enough money behind me, and I also got good at what I was waiting for, and I could sit through it. But if I was new and I had no money, I mean, how that would not have worked well for me. That would have been a terrible fit, which is what some people had to face. And eventually you overcome it if it's really for you. But those are some of the things that, and for me, it it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm 41 years old. I've lived my dream in a way, and it's still part of the dream is to. I'm always going to be active in the market at some point. There's never a situation where I'm never going to make a trade again. That's not going to happen. But how do I want to do it? Grinding away in the short term, constantly with my family around and not spending as much time with them, and having that fight or flight stress thing. I have spent so many years doing that. I don't need to do that anymore as much. It's not calling to me like it used to. It used to be all I ever wanted to do. I thought I would do it for 10 lifetimes, and it's just become less and less desirable. I know a lot of people that are listening are still doing that. That's great. I mean, I did it for a long time. And there's still a world where I'm going to take some time off this time. I've never done that. So I'm going to try to take at least a month or two. We'll see if I can get there. But I want to really clear my head and get off the cycle of checking my positions every morning and feeling that, I don't know. just that attachment, that adrenaline, checking your Trading View app 75,000 times a day, seeing how your stuff is doing. I'm just going to break all that this time and come back to it from a different spot, because the money can come real fast and it can get vaporized real fast, as everyone knows. So, I needed the huge bat to the forehead to get me to step away, which is ultimately going to be a good thing one way or the other. So that happened, and it needed to happen. I'm already looking at it as a good thing, even though, you know, it, ideally you would trade really well, step away right near the top, and then reflect on everything. It just doesn't seem like life does that to you. It seems like hopefully you don't have to have a major crisis where you're, addicted to drugs or having a heart attack or something, but you have to get woken up sometimes. And for me, there's been this internal fight for a very long time about wanting to move a different direction with my trading. Doesn't mean stopping trading. My perfect life that I envision is going to be more something towards having some collaboration with other people who maybe have some business interests or things outside of trading that I can be involved in and challenge myself with. And then also be trading, but doing it from a bigger picture perspective, not Warren Buffett necessarily. That's so far away from kind of my mind and how I've learned, but more pouncing on the cycle at the right time when something's hot, where it makes sense or it fits my style. I'm in there for big bursts in growth stocks or macro setups that make a lot of sense to me that might last a couple of weeks to a couple of months. Maybe it is buying stocks and holding them for a year. It could be at the right time. It depends on what it is. It could be a lot of things. I'm kind of a generalist in the space in a way, which can work really well if you know what you're looking for. So there's 2 or 3 or 4 strategies I could use, but grinding it out every day in there just eats away my day, and I can never put time and focus on any of this other stuff to grow. So because I'm too busy in front of the screen, and then have family things that I want to be around for, and it's too hard. So I'm going to spend a lot of reading time, reading things I'm interested in. I'm going to really try to find out what is exciting and gives me joy. That's not figuring out how to make more money or figuring out how to fix something or get back in there and make the money back and all this other stuff, because the money comes back fast when you're aligned. So if I could sum everything up in one way, I would say alignment, feeling fully aligned and getting up in bed in the morning and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want. I feel aligned. And I just have to create that situation. I've had that before. I just have lost that for, honestly, I could say it's even 5 or 6 years that it's been off and on, off and on, off and on. And it used to just be on. And I think I need to really get that figured out. Once that gets figured out, it becomes a lot easier to go forward, because you just have that positive energy every day and you know what you're building towards. It's like building towards a race or a business or, I don't know, working out for a marathon or whatever you want to say, versus like aimlessly working out because you feel guilty like you should, and then you get a shitty workout. And we've all had all this stuff, versus having like a journal where you're tracking your weights and you really want to do something. And I'm just really focused on having that alignment for my life, because I spend so much time. I'm very good about exercising and walking and pretty good about eating well. But how much time is spent on the mind? I mean, I've done a couple 11-day meditation retreats and I meditated, excuse me, believe it or not, for an hour in the morning, an hour at night for a full year, which is just ridiculous. And now I completely quit meditating for years, 0. And now I'm back to just some deep breathing using this HeartMath. The HeartMath book is awesome, by the way. If anyone has heard of the HeartMath Institute, they have a really good book. It's an older book, and older being not, I don't know, 10 years or so, I think. And they have a little device you can connect up to your phone, a Bluetooth device, and it tracks your coherence and your breathing. And just 5 to 10 minutes of that deep breathing a day puts me in a great state. And then getting up in the morning after I do that breathing, or getting up in the morning, not checking my phone to look at my trades, do a little stretching, brush my teeth, look at that, get that device and get myself stabilized breathing for 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm really dialed in, breathing slow. Your whole body changes when you breathe like that for a while. And then you're in a calmer state. And then I visualize kind of how can I already be what I want to be? How can I feel my life moving the way I want? Try to feel that emotion now, which is very difficult, because sometimes when you're losing money or things are not going well, you just think about all the problems you have, and sometimes that's how it is, and you can't stop it. But I try not to leave the room until I feel decent, at least neutral if I can. But checking my trades in the morning would always put me in a good mood or a bad mood, and it's just not a good way to live. I felt like I was on a hamster wheel, It didn't have a lot to do with my success either, because I felt like I could still ride out the waves and do well, but I just wasn't. It's almost like the better I did, my happiness curve actually got worse along the way. And I don't think it's because of trading as much as it's because I wasn't aligned anymore with the way I was doing it, because I didn't feel as much growth, and the inner calling was just tempered versus what it was. So this time off is to figure that out a little bit and get to get lined back up. And I think I'm gonna hopefully arrive at that at some point. I don't expect something to get dropped out of the sky in my head or have this big clarity moment, as much as just get away from it enough. And I remember sitting by a guy who I used to work with, who's really successful in Chicago, a very good trader. And I remember seeing him go through this, and he did a yoga challenge with his wife for like 2 months, a month and a half, and didn't do any trading. And he came back, started trading really small. This was the most successful guy at the company, and was trading way smaller than just the guys who were barely making it, and then slowly built up. And then within 6 months, he was just back better than ever, and hitting his new heights. So it can come very, very quickly on the way back, because you already have a lot of the skills if you've been successful. You just have to get your mind, you have to get lined up, you have to get determined, and it takes a full body, mind, thinking effort. And I was kind of at odds with myself. Like, I'd show up, but I was like, yes, I don't want to sit here. I don't want to have this stress. Is this worth it anymore? I'm only here for the busy days or the big days. I don't care about the little stuff. And then I end up not having success as much. And then eventually I just had a horrible run. It was a massive blow up at the end because of that mentality. That's why I said last time, it's like, it's not that I can't do it. It's that I wasn't willing to do what it took mentally, emotionally. I just wouldn't do it. Come there and take bad shots on the basketball court, not warm up, and play like an idiot. And your results, they suck, and that's what you get. So, and that's kind of what I'm off to solve and fix in myself.